Welcome. I am John J. Viz, the co-founder of the ministry Go&Do. At Go&Do, we like to say we're picking up the slack of the lukewarm church. We primarily do that through homeless outreaches, where we take both spiritual and physical aid to our local communities. Go&Do originated from some specific convictions. First is that Christians need to stop being indoctrinated by the convictions of the preacher and start being convicted by the preaching of the doctrine. Our mission at Go&Do is true worship, true religion. Jesus said, "The hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will seek to worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such to worship him." Jesus continues and says, "God is a spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth." We understand that worship is not confined to the four walls of the building. Worship is not an event that only takes place on Sundays. Worship is not a singular emotional moment in time that might cause us to sing or shout, shed a tear, or raise or clap our hands. Worship is a way of life. It is how we are to conduct our lives in honor and service to God. Preachers need to stop teaching Christians to worship preaching and need to start teaching them what worship is really all about. Similarly then, what should religion look like? Is it X amount of hours spent in a church building? Is it X amount of singing plus Y amount of tithing times Z amount of preaching? No. The Bible says this: pure religion and undefiled before God is this: to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. That leads into the second conviction that Go&Do originated from. The second conviction is that Christians need to stop just going to church and need to start being the church. Our purpose at Go&Do is give life. Jesus said, "I am the bread of life. He that comes to me shall never hunger, and he that believes on me shall never thirst." We recognize that the homeless, the poor, the needy, yes, they need physical food for their stomachs, but more importantly, they need spiritual food for their souls. That is the only way that they can get out of their circumstances and live a life, as Jesus said, more abundantly. Our format at Go&Do is gather crumbs, go out. You can find the bread of life in the church building, but that's not where he's needed most. At Go&Do, we're gathering up the crumbs, the gleanings, the leftovers of the church building, and we're taking it out into the streets where it's needed most. After feeding about 5,000 people, Jesus said, "Gather up the fragments that remain, that none be lost." In another instance, a woman comes to Jesus and she says, "Even the dogs eat of the children's bread that falls from the table." What are we talking about here? The point is that Jesus is for everybody, even the people that society looks down on sometimes. We need to go out from the church and into the streets, even if it feels hard at times, even if it makes us feel uncomfortable. Just as Jesus bore his reproach and bore the cross outside of the city and up on the hill for all the world to see. And in doing so, we fulfill the Great Commission, where Jesus says, "Go ye therefore into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates and to learn more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for event highlights and for thought-provoking biblical perspective through our various video series that are upcoming. Like, comment on, and share our content, and let's go and do.